between 60 and 70 hours consecutively.
Jesus
Do you know what I
Christ.
mean? Okay, we are live actually.
Good.
I hit the live button by mistake. But yes, people, big up yourselves. Obviously, I can't be too loud on this. Wait, hold on. Am I? Yes, we are. We are. I can't be too loud on the stream. It is 5:45 a.m. Mrs. sleeping, kids are sleeping. Yeah, not trying to start Infinity War at 5:45 in the yard. So gotta be careful, blood. But listen, I think this is the first live that I've done since I've taken an unplanned hiatus away from YouTube. So I owe you and the people that are watching live a bit of an explanation as to why I took so much time off. Well, as you lot know, I am a man who supports family. I have a wife. I have two children that I'm very proud of. They are my world, but they don't eat for free. They don't live for free. Do you know what I mean? So I've had to go out there and really just knuckle down on a lot of work. I've been handed a lot more responsibilities in my role. So that's taken up a lot of my time. When I come back, I'm absolutely shattered because the nature of my business is I'm an engineer. So it's very physically demanding work. So by the end of the day, it's a dirty job. You come back, you're cleaning, you're tired from all the lifting and all of that stuff. So you just want to chill, man, and relax with your family. So that was really the case. It was just about readjusting, do you know what I mean? But all of that is done. I'm happy that, it happened when it did, because watching Chelsea during that time, Matisse, was absolute torture, fam. It was real,
Horrendous.
yeah, it was real torture. And it got to a point where it was hitting me in my heart a bit too much, and I was tired as well of coming on the streams and just complaining, do you know what I mean? Just cussing out my team, bro. And it's not like you know this. You're not doing it on purpose. It's not like
No.
you're doing it out of like any kind of spite. It's what they're giving you. It's just unacceptable, fam.
You don't get any joy out of it for sure. Like watching these games over the past and I've got massive hay fever, so if my
I
eyes are all
feel you.
squinting,
I feel you,
do you know what I
man.
mean? My hay fever's gone to another level now, borderline dead. But watching this team and trying to get through these matches when you know you're going to lose, it's actually outrageous. Like I've never had a campaign where I'm going into matches and we're just having a little bit of a game as to how many goals are we going to concede, how much are we going to lose by, when are we going to lose, are we going to lose in the second half, are we going to concede early and just lose, or are we going to actually take it to the second half and then lose then? Just unbelievable, to be honest. And God forbid we ever score a goal, it's almost like as if we hit the jackpot, like it's Christmas. So I remember celebrating a shot on target one game. So yeah, man, just outrageous. But it's behind us now. The table's officially reset. Fixtures are out, which is good. But as I've been saying on my channel, there's a lot of work to do if we're going to actually start the next campaign successfully. I think as much as, and it's funny, I'm glad I don't think too much has come out this morning, because yesterday was a bit of a minefield, and I was gonna go again with another upload, but I seen Caicedo apparently has decided he's going to join us. Listen, I don't know if personal terms are actually done. So I hesitated on that one. I don't think they're done. I don't think personal terms are actually done. So it's not really breaking news again. And Kai Havertz, yes, he may be agreeing to go to Arsenal, but we already knew that. Again, a fee needs to be agreed. Things have to start happening right now, bro. So hopefully these two deals get done, and then we can move on to the next. Like I don't have time to be worshipping and almost applauding these deals, even though I'm extremely excited about Caicedo, because we need to be on to the next goalkeeper,
100%.
on to the
100%.
next. Who's leaving next? Like we don't have time to be longing out this deal and then going mad about it on the June the 31st, when we should have done 3 or 4 deals by then.
No, facts. And it's this transfer window in a very small way. It's a chance for redemption for Chelsea, because really ultimately what matters is the results. It's the trophies. That's what we really care about. But the transfer window is actually a very exciting time. But somebody has put in the comments, Goonie, you didn't spell Caicedo properly. Listen, man, I hate to explain a perfectly great joke, but Chelceido, you get it? Nah, yeah, yeah. You see, you spoiled my joke, Tiny man. How could you do that to me? By Havertz, Chelceido. I thought that was pretty clever. Do you know what I mean? I'll give myself a pat on the back. But we're definitely gonna have to start off with this talk about Mr. Kai Havertz, the silky German. Yeah, as he is dubbed by some of the extremists in our fan base. Yeah, you already know. Big up Johnny Minerals and them man they are. Yeah, I will say names, fam. But Kai Havertz, bruv, looking for a move away from Chelsea. Now, obviously, I talk quite a lot with Darko, who does get a lot of good information. Do you know what I mean? And this is not just me saying it. He's got his own track record, and a lot of people in the comments know that Darko he does good work. Do you know what I mean? But he was saying a few months back that if Kai Havertz doesn't renew the contract, that Chelsea are going to be forced to sell the player. So, you know, a lot of people saying, oh, how can Chelsea sign Kai Havertz? He's going to do well at Arsenal or wherever he goes. It is what it is. It's two things with that, Matisse. The first thing is if that is true, well, it's not just been, you know, reported by Darko. It's also been reported by Fabrizio Romano and so on and so forth about the contract situation. Then clearly it's the player that doesn't want to stay at the club. And then the second part is this, you know, we've had Kai Havertz for several seasons now. He scored, I believe, 32 or 33 goals in that time, in 3 years. Right?
Yeah.
We're not going to sit here and now do this false revisionism just because he's potentially going over to a rival and say now all of a sudden this is this great player that's going to go and be an elite winner over at Arsenal because their system is set up well or whatever. Do you know what I mean? How about we look at the facts. This guy's conversion rate, although I had the number somewhere, but you know,
I think he underperformed his XG by more than anyone this season.
This is what, yeah, exactly.
In terms of his goals, it's funny because even this week when I speak to people about Havertz, nobody knows what he is. Some people tell me he's a false nine. Some people tell me he's a 10 that crashes the box. Some people tell me he can play as a winger because he played as a winger at Leverkusen. Nobody knows to this day. You know, his position just keeps changing. He's one of those players that nobody can put a pin on it. So, for me personally, I'm looking at the way that he shoots, and it's just been underwhelming. Even if he's not a striker, I still expect your shooting technique to just be a lot better than it's been.
Yeah.
So, the goal output's not really acceptable, regardless of whether he's playing out of position. If he's playing as a 10, you still expect him to score goals. It's not going to be acceptable to shoot how he's shooting from any position in that attack because we need goals.
I agree. You know, with Kai Havertz's shooting technique, one thing I've very much complained about is the fact that he underhits his shot so much, man. Like he never ever puts any power in shots at all. When he does, the two times that I remember him doing it was the control and finish. You know, that beautiful goal. I can't remember who it is against. Was it Newcastle or someone? Ball into the box, one touch, bang, brilliant finish. That one there, and then there was the Champions League volley as well.
There was a pre-season one against Arsenal as well with his right foot.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
I think it was Arsenal, but it was right foot pre-season. It was an unbelievable shot.
You see what I'm saying? But he doesn't do it enough, and you know, for us to have him as this full whatever role that he's got, he's just not cut it, man, honestly. And this isn't me. Look, at the same time, I know I sound like a bit of a Kai Havertz hater to those that are listening. I'm really not. I'm just speaking what I see. I'm just trying to talk my facts.
A lot of people don't realize, I think at the beginning, everybody wanted this guy to make it.
Absolutely.
Chelsea. There's not a single person you'll find out there when he signed that didn't want him to do well. Everybody wanted him to do well. This was like our big signing, our flamboyant, new signing that was meant to come in and just explode. Wanted by Real Madrid. It's meant to be our next big name. I can count probably on one hand the amount of games he's taken by the scruff of the neck and dominated. He's always either playing well when the team's playing well, or if the team's not playing well, then he kind of just glides with the team. How many games can you think of where you think that's a Kai Havertz game? That's a game where Kai Havertz stood out and done a madness. You can't. So for me personally, he's been massively disappointing as someone that really wanted him to do very well here. I've only got so much patience. Like people will say, "Oh,
Absolutely.
we need to drop him into the 10." Everybody knows Nkuku's going to start in the 10.
Facts.
So what people are recommending now is that Kai Havertz plays second fiddle to Nkuku and hopes Nkuku gets injured to get game time like a youngster. Even
Yeah.
though he paid 70 odd million for him, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. But look, there's no doubt that Kai Havertz has, although he's massively underwhelmed, he's also. It's funny how two things can be true at once, because he's also massively overwhelmed in comparison to what he's given. Because let's not act like the man hasn't scored important goals. Goals that are going to go down in history at Chelsea Football Club. So we'll always be grateful for that. So it was a bit of a funny one with Kai Havertz. But before we move on to the next. Outgoing actually, because there's one I wasn't even planning on talking about. Fabrizio just tweeted, but with the case of not Fabrizio Romano, with the case of Kai Havertz, you did mention the £70 million price tag as well, bruv. Potentially, if he heads out the door, we're looking for very similar money back. So if Arsenal do want to make this happen, they are going to have to pay within the region of £70 million, which apparently they do sound like they're willing to do that. Now, for me, that is fantastic business. With the thought of we bought him for around, 72 or something like that, roughly around that figure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
even if we get 60 back, we've made a profit. To balance out the books, I think it's like we need 28 million or something like that, 28.8. Because obviously if you're amortizing the fee across the contract, that's how much we need to level it back off. So we're going to make profit on him on that sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's good business. We should be getting 60 for a minimum. They're a rival, they want him, so we have to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I think the 70 is definitely warranted, considering that they're a rival and a competing rival as well. Remember that, so that should really add to the premium. And then when as whatever we think about Kai Havertz, me, you, the chat. What's going to be considered in his price is the fact that he is an actual winner. He has won a Champions League. He has won a Club World Cup, a Super Cup. Do you know what I mean? He has serious accolades under his belt. Starts for Germany. So there are things that are obviously going to push the price up. But, last question on Kai Havertz. Fairly obvious answer, but I'm still going to ask it anyway. Do you feel it's time for Kai to move on? How do you feel about him getting out of the club?
Oh, definitely time to go. And funnily enough, like, I'm not really bothered about him going to Arsenal as well, because I'm looking forward to the rivalry. A lot of times people get very like emotional about players going to rival clubs. For me, it depends on the player. If it's one of our top players that have been performing, like a Reece James or someone that I rate extremely highly, obviously I'm not going to like that. If it's a Kai Havertz, I look forward to the rivalry. I like the script. I like the story.
Yeah.
He becomes the enemy. We play Nkuku. We play Nkuku in that 10 position, and we go from there. So it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the better player in replacing him, and hopefully Nkunku will be used correctly, which I believe he will. I think Poch is going to get the best out of this player, honestly. But I wasn't planning to talk about this one. Fabrizio Romano actually has just quote tweeted one of his tweets. Manchester City advancing also on club side to get Mateo Kovacic's deal as soon as possible. Personal terms 100% agreed, and Kovacic wants to move. So it's looking like this move seems to be accelerated. Mateo Kovacic, another player, a player that was actually ironically signed during the season when we had our transfer ban officially. We were able to put in I think it was £32 million or euro bid into Real Madrid, which they accepted, made Kovacic a permanent player at Chelsea. Now, let's have it right. Kova, in his prime at Chelsea, was a good midfielder. I think he was a very good midfielder. There was attributes about him that were absolutely priceless. His press resistance, his just overall ability to just, pick up that ball from the midfield, dictate, play forward, not just sideways, backwards passing. But then after a while, the injuries started, piling up. Not like he didn't have a good, he's never had a good injury record at Chelsea. I believe he's never played over 28 games in a season.
For
For Chelsea.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
obviously,
injuries.
you can get away with that, in your slightly younger years, but the closer you start getting to 30, it becomes, you can't hide anymore. Those injuries will start affecting performance, and I feel that we have seen that a bit in Kovacic. But I'll ask you about Kovacic moving over to Manchester City. Do you think it's a right move for him to be going over there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're going to play for Pep, potentially next to Rodri on the occasion. I think is perfect. Obviously, there's rotation, but he needs rotation anyway
Yeah, he does.
because he's very injury prone. So it's a great move for him. Fantastic. He's going to go and win titles. For us, if he wasn't injury prone, I'd be slamming us right now because I think he's a great player to have in your squad. I'm not saying that he has to be an absolute starter because I do think Enzo's balance with him would not really be right. But if he wasn't injury prone, I'd be saying that we should be trying to keep him because I do think he's a very good player. And I think this season he's been poor, but I think that is due to maybe a bit of disillusion like Sterling with the management and the way the club's being run.
Yeah, yeah.
But he is injury prone, and we are trying to move into the future. And the thing is, you have to believe in the Andre Santoses and the Cassidys. If you don't,
Yeah, yeah.
then that's when you start to get really worried. Obviously, we want a bit of experience in the team. Sorry, my eyes are absolutely finished.
No, I hear you, Matisse, bruv.
Oh,
I used to suffer from hay fever. In fact, the mad thing is, yeah, the only country where hay fever would hit me was actually England. In fact, like over here, I don't get it. Even
I
though,
don't know what's happened to me today. Like today, I'm just finished. Like genuinely, my eyes are actually gone. I'd rather have no eyes right now and just roll with
no, I hear
nothing.
you, man. That scratchiness is irritating. But go on, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
Yeah, but yeah, with cover and with where we're trying to go, if we're going to get money for him, he's not going to sign a new contract. He doesn't want to be here. So I'm not going to beg anybody to stay if they don't want to stay. Obviously, I understand why he might not want to stay. I understand why players in their prime don't want to be in a team that obviously is out of the Champions League. Is looking like they're going to have a long rebuild. These players that have a lot of time on the clock, they want to win titles. So we have to understand that. But yeah, it is where it is, bro. Like I'm someone that rates cover highly, and I'm like, do you know what? Fair enough. We move. Had him a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah, you're bang on, Matisse, especially about the rotation bit, because a lot of people say, well, Kovacic ain't going to start games at Man City. I think that's the point here. He needs a lot of game management. You've proven over, how many years it's been not being able to play more than 28 games in the season. The story tells itself. So he's going into a position where he will be useful, but just in a secondary manner. And I suppose he's happy to do that. Maybe he's accepted the conditions of his body and he feels that, I want to win a Premier League, I want to win another Champions League and so on and so forth, potentially with Manchester City. Not going to wish him well. Do you know what I mean? He's going over to a rival. And, in the case of Kovacic, I do feel like he was on the brink for me of being a world-class player. There were a few things about him that I wanted to see a little more, like his final pass, and perhaps maybe scoring a couple of more goals from that midfield. Although the goals that he did score, man, yeah, they was never normal.
Some bangers,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolute belters. Do you know what I mean? But this comment here from Kay, I think, is a really good one, bruv. Really like Kovacic, but he's a luxury player in the midfield that I can't afford to carry one when it's so dysfunctional. He also looked like he wanted to be elsewhere all season long. Yeah, I mean, once again, just given his current condition with his body and not being entirely reliable, I can sort of agree with that first part of the statement. But the second part there as well, quite rightly, like Matisse said, this is not a unique situation. There's several players that we can point to that have looked disappointed all season long. I mean, nobody likes to lose, especially serially. I'd be concerned if my players were walking around, happy as anything after just getting spanked the way we did this season. So I can't really look into that, too much. I'm not going to over criticize that, to be honest with you. But the price tag as well. Not sure how true it is. Somebody put in the comments that it's about £34.2 million. Once again, recouping slightly over what we paid for the player. So this is proving to be very good. I mean, if the rest of the transfer window is to follow suit, then I believe in terms of outgoings, we're going to be all right. It's just we have to see what we do incomings wise, because we're definitely one of those teams who, when clubs here were in for their players, they're gonna overinflate.
Yeah.
We're in that category because I don't have to explain 600 million and all that, man. But let's move on to incomings now, and obviously the main one being Moises Chelceido. Hopefully, Caicedo, obviously over there at Brighton, very, very, very talented number 6. Once again, having a brilliant season. This time under De Zerbi, but Brighton, De Zerbi, and Caicedo have accepted that at the end of this season that he will be sold. He will be sold, but obviously it will be under the club's conditions. The correct price has got to be met. Fabrizio Romano has spoken about this situation. The first piece of breaking news for me yesterday, when I thought, okay, we could really potentially get this deal done, was the fact that Arsenal were dropping out of the race, because from what I heard, Matisse, that if it was between Chelsea and Arsenal, given current circumstances, Caicedo would have preferred to go to Arsenal. But obviously, Arsenal focused on 2 different targets, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, which works well for me. But Romano has updated actually what he said yesterday in one of his tweets here. It says, more on the Caicedo story he reported last night. Chelsea are advancing on Caicedo's personal terms. Talks with Brighton expected to start next week. Player doesn't see any chance to stay. Arsenal only focused on Rice and Kai Havertz. Bayern Munich, there are no talks. Now, on the face of it, Matisse, it looks like we've got a clear run for the player.
Yeah,
but
that's Man United.
That's what I was about to say, which points to one thing. We need to close this deal very, very quickly. Now, with the history of this current board, I've seen when they want a player, they are willing to go over and above to get that player. Let's point to the Enzo Fernandez situation. They weren't leaving Portugal without Enzo Fernandez, and they did that. Do you feel like this is a similar situation here with Caicedo?
I don't want to put it on that level yet, because Enzo was pretty unique.
Yeah.
We literally ended up having all of our other deals in England collapse because we were out doing the Enzo deal. Ziyech, loads of other deals with young players going to the Championship, all collapsing because of this Enzo deal. Datro Fofana loan as well was meant to happen, collapsed. So I think that was a special type of obsession. But when it comes to Caicedo, I hope so, because if you get this player, you take so much pressure off yourself in this window. I can't begin to, exercise the amount of pressure, kind of speak on the amount of pressure that we take off ourselves if we get this player, because now we've made a big upgrade in midfield, and it is an upgrade. He's an upgrade on what Kovacic has been doing recently. He's an upgrade on what Kante has been doing recently, which is not being available, both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an upgrade. So if you're to tell me that we're going to lose Jorginho, Kova, and Kante in the space of 6 months, and we're going to sign Enzo and Caicedo as a replacements, I'm jumping for joy.
100%.
And that is the way I'm looking at this. And that's the only way it should be looked at. People could talk about the experience, and 100% I hear that. But this team, even before this ownership, with experience, was not doing much in terms of winning trophies. Champions League aside, which is a fantastic achievement, that is where all of our trophies came from. The Club World Cup and Super Cup were a consequence of that.
Of the Champions League, yeah, exactly.
This experience did not put us at the top table consistently on the football stage. In the Premier League and in the Champions League, consistently we weren't winning, and also in the domestic cups we've been losing the last 5. So we know we need a rebuild. So let's not forget, we know we need a rebuild. We know that these 2 of those 3 players were injury prone and we couldn't rely upon them, and one of them had his limitations physically. So if you're telling me we're getting Enzo and Caicedo in for the next decade to replace those 3, plus maybe one more, or if not one more, you have Andre Santos, you have Cassidy. Don't drop your excitement for them now. They've been doing their thing. Let's see what they can do too. I'm very excited about that. I can't not be. So for me personally, that's brilliant. But that has to get done because we can't butcher. And I said that yesterday on When You Can Eat Chelsea. You can't butcher the Caicedo situation. You can't go with a B lister and let a Caicedo go to a top club and then you end up picking up the scraps of the window.
Yeah.
There's too many good midfielders out there this window for you to not leave with something. Especially when you look at them who we're replacing. We are replacing top players. They haven't been reliable fitness wise. They haven't been consistent. But when they play at their best, they can dominate a Real Madrid away from home. So
Absolutely.
we need to be treating this as surgery in midfield because this what the midfield deserves is some investment. I'm not too bothered about a big striker investment. I'm not too bothered about big investment on the second midfielder if there is a second midfielder. The goalkeeper is a situation where we do need a new goalkeeper, but we have to look at the market after Onana if we don't get him as well. But for me, the midfield you have to get right because that is the epicenter of the team. That is what's going to dictate a lot of the football matches. We try to dominate matches, everything. So we're going to talk about midfield a lot of the time. So for me personally, the defense, the centre-backs are brilliant. We've got great choice there. Full-backs, fantastic, great choice there. Wingers, listen, we've put our money down, put our money where our mouth is. We have to develop now. And Cuckoo's there. You get that midfield. Now you're starting to really get a good base of this team sorted. And now you're just looking at a couple of more things, but then mainly outgoing. So this takes a lot of pressure off, I think, if you get this done.
Yeah, 100%. And with the Caicedo situation, he ticks so many boxes, like we've been crying out for that number 6 role for how many seasons now? We haven't really properly replaced it since Matic has left the club. I know some will point to Jorginho. Yes, they occupy the same space, but they have a different role. Roles are everything in football. They're very different. Not all midfielders are the same. Do you know what I mean? So they had very different roles. But Caicedo is more leaning towards the Matic style of football. There are elements of his game that he definitely has to improve on, but he's still young. He's still very young, and what he's shown in terms of his strengths are definitely exceptional. So that for me is a good start. They must get this deal over the line, 100%. We are in a position where, even without Europe, we're playing, the one game a week, which is not necessarily true because we still have the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and so on and so forth. We should be doing well in those competitions. So, the fact that he's still coming to the club without Champions League does still show that Chelsea, we still have that pool. We still got that, and that could start off a chain of events. Other players seeing that we're still signing serious players that could be going to, Premier League winning clubs, Champions League winning clubs. They're still coming to Chelsea. That will still be a very good look for us. But I 100%, I'm with you on this. Moises Caicedo is a must. A lot of people are looking at him as a direct replacement for N'Golo Kante. I see why, but for me, two slightly different players. Once again, when you analyze both their roles, you'll see what they do is quite different to each other. Do you know what I mean? But I think here we need to avoid making the same mistake twice, and that is just signing Caicedo alone without another number 6. Because look at what we did with N'Golo Kante.
Jorginho.
Look at what we done in the situation of Jorginho. Now, with Jorginho, we were lucky in the fact that this man was not an injury-prone player. He was always available. But any other player, it could have been a case where he's also injury-prone, and we're in a situation where, we're having to go half the season or a portion of the season without a DM now. Can't do that in the Premier League. Absolutely can't do that. So I need to see another number 6 signing, and obviously that name, I've been talking about him all season, and now you're starting to get stories here and there that Chelsea are looking to make a move for this player. But Romeo Lavia is another one that has been linked with Chelsea. Now, I'll start with my opinion on Lavia. I think he is an excellent player in terms of potential as well. I think he can go right up to the top. He is very young. It is inexperienced, but it does make me feel a little better at the fact that we are signing a Moises Caicedo who does have a lot more senior experience, and we do see the potential behind the player. So it does ease the pressure on a young Romeo Lavia coming to Chelsea, and it also gives Caicedo a chance to rest his legs a bit sometimes. Not that he's going to need to this upcoming season because we're playing the 1 game a week thing, but going forward in the future, I think that would be a very smart thing to do. But would you be happy seeing both Caicedo and Lavia coming to the club? Because I know you did voice your concerns about the goalkeeper position and other positions that quite rightly need to be sorted out. But how would you feel about that?
I like Lavia, and I've seen this kind of sway in opinion on him recently, which is, I think, a bit harsh considering who he plays for. He plays for the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And he's only 19 in his first Premier League season. I've been very impressed when I've seen him in big games against Arsenal at the Emirates. He's been outrageous. He's been so good, outstanding. And for me, that's a great base to work from for a manager like Pochettino. There's the only downside is, of course, the lack of balance in terms of ages in that midfield. You've got Santos, you've got Caicedo, you've got Enzo, you've got Cassidy, you've got Santos. There's a lot of youth in there, and there's not any experience. So that is where people will maybe bring up a Paulinho or just something different to kind of give us a bit of range. And I have that argument for me is I completely understand that, and I don't even disagree. I'm just here to say that Lavia is a very good player, and if Lavia comes in, I'm not going to be disappointed. That's for sure. I'm going to be excited to have Lavia on our midfield roster next season. But we do need to be careful about stockpiling youngsters. And the only way Lavia hits his maximum potential is by actually getting chances. The same applies to Santos. The same applies to Cassidy. So if you don't give these guys chances, or you don't find good loans, not just any loan where you just send them, good loans, then you put yourself in a precarious position. I think for Lavia, perfect place for him is a team like Brighton. If Lavia went to Brighton next, perfect. That's like the perfect. Not for us, because listen, if we're looking at Lavia, best time to get him is now, because if he goes to Brighton, his valuation is going to go through the roof.
He'll be 100 million player.
Yeah, it's going to be long. But Lavia, for himself, his best move would be a Brighton to replace a Caicedo and a McAllister to get regular game time. But I do believe, with what I've seen, little things from Lavia this season, I do believe he has the potential to be one of the top midfielders. I really do.
100%.
Some of the in-game intelligence I've seen from him at such a young age in big matches against Manchester City as well in the cup, against us at the Bridge. I think a lot of people are forgetting some of the performances this guy's put in.
He's unbelievable for his age.
Really, really impressive. So I'd love to have him, but as long as it comes at the fact that we are going to give him opportunities, and if you're telling me that we're going to have a midfield 4 next season for 2 positions of Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, Santos, I'm excited about that. It's impossible for me to not be excited, apart from the concerns of age and lack of experience. And you know what? We will pay the price for not having experience. We will pay the price at some point in the season. In some matches, there will be errors, mistakes that you would think, okay, if we had someone more experienced that had been around the block, that would not have happened. We might crumble mentally in some moments. But the goal is to get back into the top 4. If that team can outplay 80-90% of the teams in the season with 1 game a week, and they crumble at critical moments, I would be able to understand that, legislate for that, and take it into the next season. That for me will be good enough to get you into a Champions League spot. If you're playing to your max, that team outplays a lot of teams consistently, and that's what it's about. Outplaying teams consistently. And then, like I said, with Arsenal, they have a capitulation due to a multitude of factors. But I could handle that. Considering where we are right now, 12th, if that is what happened to us, we capitulated at the end. We played brilliant football for 90% of the season, 85% of the season, capitulated at the end. Lessons to learn. Team may be a bit inexperienced. I'd be able to handle that. Better than playing like shit for the whole season.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be something that would be a red flag and would come up. But from where we're at right now, that's a massive improvement.
T1 says Amadou Onana would be a great choice after Caicedo. Onana's a funny one. I think he's also a very good player, but once again, I want to just be a bit more specific in midfield roles here. Do you know what I mean? Matisse is. I don't know if my memory's frying me, but I'm kind of trying to think. Is Onana naturally a number 8 or is he naturally a number 6? Because I have
Uh,
seen him used. I believe he was at Lille before Everton. I have seen him used in front of a defense before. So I don't know. This one for me is a bit of a confusing one. Is he actually a DM or is he a number 8?
he's. I think he's been used as a box to box. At Everton quite a few times, but for me, I think he has the capabilities to become a 6. He's very young. He's only 21, I think. With his stature and his physicality and the way he plays, I think he could easily be turned into a 6 very, very soon.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't use him as an 8 in our team. If we were to have him, I'd use him as a DM. I think he's got the attributes to do that. He's obviously got improving to do as well, but I think he's a decent player. He's a very decent player, and he does give us something different in terms of dominating games physically, because that's where we could look a little bit lightweight. Our most physical midfielders are probably the Santoses, the Cassidis, but they're very young, and it
Yeah.
will be their first time in the Premier League. Obviously, Cassidy looks like a monster, wins a lot of his aerial duels, so long term, he should be good for that fight. But right now, it does look a little bit lightweight, so he would bring a bit of balance in there as well. Listen, as a secondary option, him, Lavia, these options after Caicedo, I'm cool with. I'm really
Yeah.
cool with these options after Caicedo. Um, they're all good players in their own right. I think Onana again, just like Lavia to a degree, Onana, if he was put in a better team with more passing options in a system that are actually catered to playing good football, not playing for one of the shittest teams in the league in Everton. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Again, I
Facts.
think I think people see a lot more from Onana than they've seen. Um, so I think it's a bit harsh to look at his metrics or look at his statistics and judge off of that Everton team that really are awful. He almost went to West Ham.
Amadou, not Andre. My
You,
bad.
you,
He actually said Amadou Onana, not Andre Onana. Sorry, not Wait, brother. Let me see something because I think my brain has gone into lagging mode here for a second.
there's two Onanas, there's three Fofanas, bro.
But yeah, brother. Amadou. Yeah, it is. I was thinking, why am I thinking Andre Onana? Yeah, sorry. Hey, people, listen. Sorry, my brain just had a bit of a mental lag there. But yeah, man. Yeah, good points made there. But Onana, I do rate him highly as a player. But I had a comment up here from two-time Chelsea. Yeah, there it is. Please name experienced number 6s that we can sign. A lot more people are scared of buying Lavia. I'm not afraid of buying Lavia. I don't think Matisse is either, to be honest with you.
I'm not
As long
afraid
as
of
he
it.
comes with another, midfielder that's slightly older than him and that can take the pressure off him, I don't mind. But in terms of experienced DMs, there is Palhinha. I like the player. I think he's a very good player, and that's one that I was saying. If we were to go for Romeo Lavia, we should sign a player like him because he is on the opposite side of the age spectrum to Romeo Lavia. Can teach him a bit about the game. Remember, he has played at the top level before, Champions League experience with Sporting, and so on and so forth, Premier League experience. So he does have a lot of wisdom to pass on to Romeo Lavia in that respect. So I didn't think he would be a bad shout. Apparently, Joshua Kimmich is available as well for this summer. I don't know if those rumours have been squashed or what, but if he's going to be going absolutely anywhere, it would I don't think he'd go to Real Madrid now, considering their options, but Manchester City, 100%. Pep Guardiola is looking at that and saying, yep, I'll have him. I'll bring him to Man City if that's the case. But off the top of my head, those are really the only two experienced DMs that are actually realistically available. Well, with Kimmich, obviously, it remains to be seen because that's an elite talent there, and we'll see if Bayern are going to fight tooth and nail to keep him. Amrabat, once again, these World Cup guys, I'm very careful with being knee jerk off those types of players. But are there any?
I,
Go on, Matisse.
I like all these options, to be honest. Like I'm Rabat, I'm a little bit more cautious on because I don't get to watch him week in, week out
Yeah,
at Florentina. Paulinia, I like, Onana, I like, Lavia, I like. You get Caicedo, and I'm quite happy with any of those ones. I'm not gonna lie. My main concerns then become goalkeeper and striker. And
yeah,
the secondary midfielder kind of takes a back seat a little bit and becomes more of something that we get done after the outgoing.
After,
After Gallagher needs to go. Loftus-Cheek needs to go. If Mason's going, then go. If Kai Havertz is going, yes, go. Do you know what I mean? Get these guys moving, and then we can get another person in if necessary.
Matisse, you said Conor Gallagher, and I was seeing news on the timeline that apparently Brighton do like Conor Gallagher as well and be willing to make a move for the player or accepting some
business.
kind of 100% get him out of my club respectfully. But what I wanted to move on to was obviously we've spoken about midfield. We've spoken very briefly on goalkeepers. Well, it's come up in conversation. But another part of this video was Chelsea addressing the spine, because the goalkeeper for me is a non-negotiable as well. We have to address that situation. Going into the next season with Kepa as our main goalkeeper would be a bit of a failure for me. Mendy doesn't want to be at the club, and it looks like he will definitely move on this summer. And I say that because it will be an affordable price tag. The talent's still there, the accolades are there, and he's not on the highest wages as well. He's on very affordable wages to go to any one of the leagues in Europe. So that makes it easier for us to move him on. Kepa, not so easy. Could have to keep him this season, do you know what I mean? But hopefully he's shown enough during the season, for a club to be convinced and say, you know what, we might take a chance on him and maybe try and convince him to lower his wage demands a little bit in exchange for first team football and perhaps working his way up the salary ladder, do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to hold my breath for that.
Yeah, Kepa's a tough one because he seems to be happy to be part of this rotational goalkeeper merry-go-round. Even when we sign a first choice in Mendy, he still stays. Credit to him, I guess, mentality wise. I can't fault Kepa's mentality at all to come back from where he's been. But yeah, I would like to sell him, but I don't think that one's going to be very easy to get done. I think it's more likely Mendy goes, one person comes in.
Yeah, I mean, big up yourself, Marcel. Big up Matisse and Goonie, elite content creators. Big up yourself, man. Thank you very much. It's weird with Kepa. I always think he's been unfairly criticised. Not good enough to start, but nowhere near as bad as some say. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Do you know what I mean? I just think his skill set would be appreciated a lot more elsewhere. I think there's definitely much better goalkeepers out there who we're going to talk about right now, actually. Obviously, the other one is the main one is Onana of Inter Milan. Chelsea are very keen on him. We have to remember as well that Chelsea did try and buy him in January as well. They did ask about him in January. So this is somewhat some long-term interest. It's not just a knee-jerk interest that we've seen in the past. So there has been interest in him. Maignan as well was another one, but it's come out recently that he's not interested in joining Chelsea currently. If that's true, then obviously there's no chance in signing the player. And then there's other options that I'm not too keen on, man. Raya. Who was the other one? Sanchez from Brighton. Bit underwhelming for me, But,
pointless.
Yeah, exactly. A bit underwhelming for me. But Matisse, in terms of, on Onana, how would you feel, first of all? Do you think he would be a massive upgrade to what we've got? Do you feel like he lives up to his name? Because he does get quite a bit of hype from some sections of football fans. He gets mixed opinion. I think he's a good keeper, but I just want to know your opinion on him first.
I like what I see. I do like what I see, especially Champions League. When I've been watching him in the latter rounds, he has impressed me a lot. My question was always, let me see him against the Man City. If you're going to be this ball-playing goalkeeper who's going to take risks and is going to have this composure, let me see it against the best, not really trying to overgas it against the Empolis and the Florentinos.
Yeah, exactly.
The tempo out there is a bit slower. I don't think it's exactly the most pressing, energetic league in the world in terms of closing down people. So he's already good on the ball from Ajax. Let me see it against Man City. And he passed with flying colours. He was brilliant against Man City. I do like him. I do think in this goalkeeping market, you can't really do much better unless you're going with Mike Maignan at AC Milan. Not as good on the ball, but a brilliant goalkeeper in all the other metrics. But I do want the goalkeeper to be good on the ball because that is something that is important in this modern era now. And we've seen that with De Gea. So I think Onana is as good as you could probably get in the market with the options out there. As low as I'm willing to go is Martinez at Aston Villa. After that,
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
now there are other goalkeepers out there. I know there's goalkeepers in the French league that maybe are people are sleeping on. There's gems. I don't know about these guys, so I can't speak on them. But in terms of the targets we're linked with, I'm not interested in the Sanchez's, the Rayas, the the Leeds goalkeeper. I'm not interested in these
Yeah, I
guys.
don't want those
At,
guys.
at that point, you may as well just stick with Kepa. To be honest, you may as well not even bother spend. Don't spend unless it's a clear upgrade. I think Martinez is an upgrade. I think Onana is an upgrade, but I don't think the rest of them are, to be honest. And with any gems, listen, if the scouts find a gem, I'd love it because you know how many where did Magnan come from? He came from the French league, brilliant scouting done there. Onana, obviously Ajax, there was issues there, so that's why they got him in the first place. Petr Cech, way back when scouting, Courtois, way back when scouting. We've got Solina, the American keeper, again a bit of scouting's been done there. He's a bit too young, so if you find someone at the right age that you've done your homework on, I'm willing to hear it for sure. But it does need to work because can't afford to really be messing around this position any longer.
No, facts. Another option out there is Diogo Costa as well of Porto. Now, the issue with that is Porto want the release clause for the player. I believe it's about 75 million, which would be a similar price tag to what Inter are gonna ask for Onana. If we're being honest, apparently they want 70 million for him. So there or thereabouts. Now, without a doubt, Diogo Costa is a very, very talented goalkeeper. But my issue is I'm not too sure how he's going to deal with the aerial balls in the Premier League, the set pieces in the Premier League. Those are the small things that worry me about Diogo Costa. But I do think he's a very supremely talented goalkeeper. But I still think there's an element of risk with that one. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it's just my PTSD gone.
We could definitely get Onana's price down. Whatever they're asking, we should be able to negotiate that down because they want multiple players from us. So they might ask for 70, but I think that should be coming down to like 50, 55 max.
That's brilliant. If we can get that for that price, if we get it for that price, that's good business.
And he doesn't worry me aerially. I know he can command his box. So that does help as well with him.
Spartan FIFA says at Ajax he made a lot of blunders, and he's referring to Onana. But this is the thing though, Matisse, is I don't really look too much into that because it's the nature of how he's being asked to play. If he's asked to hold possession, there's more chance he's going to be caught in possession. It's just the rule of thumb. Do you know what I mean? So
I've just come off the back of seeing Ederson make quite a few blunders in that first half in the Champions League.
Exactly.
It can happen.
We've seen Ederson do it. We've seen Alisson do it several times. Do you know what I mean? It's not this is not new. Keepers that are asked to play from the back will be caught out with a very good high press. It happens. Mistakes are made, and it happens to even some of the most elite goalkeepers. So once again, I'm not really looking too much into that. Do you know what I mean? So, but I hear what you're saying, and you're also saying Diogo Costa was the shame in the World Cup. Now, listen, same rule applies to those players that super impress me at a World Cup is to those that underperform. I don't necessarily just look at the World Cup and paint a general picture of that player. I've seen before that World Cup, I'd seen a lot of Diogo Costa's performances, and they was definitely consistently above average. In fact, Porto that season in the Champions League, if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have gone as far as they did. Do you know what I mean? He is an excellent goalkeeper here. But again, coming to the Premier League, there's certain attributes that need to be above average for you to be a very successful goalkeeper. And I just feel due to his height, it might be a little bit risky with him. Because I do believe he's about, I think 6'1" or 6'2" or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just those things, maybe once again, like I was saying, maybe it's a PTSD thing with Kepa, who also is not the tallest goalkeeper. His arm span is not really the longest, respectfully. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking of FA Cup final, Tielemans, that, oh man, not a good look.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but in terms of that goalkeeper, I'm happy to know that's where your mind's at. Onana being a good choice for you, Magnan and even Emi Martinez. I like Martinez. I think he's a good goalkeeper, and I think also on top of that, Onana does add leadership as well. He is a very vocal
Yeah,
leader. He's known for that. But then so does Emi Martinez. And he's also got that bastard streak in him that we're
yeah.
so badly missing at Chelsea Football Club. We need that at the club. So I wouldn't mind seeing him. Now, one last position we're going to speak about, because I'm not trying to keep you for too long, maybe just 5 minutes before we come to an end. But before we do, people, give the video a like, man. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new, man. Let's get this thing up in the algorithm. Big up everybody that's in the chat that's been contributing, man. But yeah, final position that we're going to talk about, striker. Now, one of my primary choices has kind of been crossed off the list due to his behaviour, and that is Ivan Toney. I would have been
Yeah.
happy to see him come to Chelsea Football Club, but at the fact that he's not available and we're not in a position to wait 6 or 7 months for a player, we need a striker now. I think we could potentially revisit that later on if there is still a need for another top quality striker in the team, because regardless if it's an Osimhen or a Vlahovic or whatever, there's no guarantee they're going to come and hit the ground running. They might need another striker to take that pressure off, and in that case it could be once again Ivan Toney. But considering the options that are out there, Dusan Vlahovic, obviously Victor Osimhen, now this Samuel L. Jackson geezer over at flipping Villarreal. That's not his name, something Jackson. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's Nicholas, is it?
Yeah, Nicholas Jackson. Do you know what I mean? Like some who are you guy? But no disrespect, but I want some. I'm tired of what we've seen in the past 2 seasons in terms of finishing. I want top quality. I want hitmen at Chelsea Football Club. But out of those options, right, who would be your best choice for you? Or even an option that I haven't mentioned. Give us some names, Matisse. Give us your thoughts on the striker situation.
This is the position that I don't know. This is the position I don't know. Osimhen is too expensive for me. I don't want to spend 110, 20 million on a striker. Just, if your name's not Harry Kane, I'm not interested for that price. No chance. So Vlahovic, again, is another one. I think he's got slight injury concerns, but I've always leaned to a striker that can do more than just what they're there to do, which is obviously put the ball in the back of net and be a serviceable striker in the box. I do like players that can contribute more to the game than just stand there and wait for service, purely because we've had chance creation issues. Now, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, our chance creation issues are 100% behind us because we signed Enzo. Because if Enzo gets injured, what now? So we got young wingers. Do you know what I mean? They can be up and down sometimes. I would love a striker that can make others play better.
Yeah.
Instead of strikers that always come into this team and they take away from the team. They extract from the team. They are there to be serviced by the team. And if the team don't play well, the striker has nothing to do with it because it wasn't their fault. How about a striker that actually makes others play better? I've grown up watching the Wayne Rooneys making everybody around him play better. Harry Kane now at Tottenham making everybody around him play better.
Benzema and so on and so forth.
Bro,
yeah.
there's so many out there. Why do we always have the strikers that can't actually lift the team in terms of the performance overall when the game is going on? You get a couple of chances a game to score a goal as a striker, 2 or 3 chances max. What are you doing in the rest of that time? Apart from standing there and saying, I made a run. How about if you could drop deep? That's great too. No problem. I'd love a bit of interchange with Nkuku. So for me, the only striker that, and his price is again too stupid, is Munuani as well. Munuani.
Munuani from
listen.
yeah.
I like what I see with him, but again, his price tag is too high. It's like 100 million they want. But I think that French connection with Nkuku, probably going into the senior national team, obviously Mbappe will probably play off the left. That's something that could be, that chemistry could be, translated club and country. That could be something there, could be cooking. And the thing is with him is that he's racked up a lot of assists this season. Yeah. He's a very good dribbler as well. He's someone that contributes to multiple facets of the game. Does his finishing need improving? Yes. Could that hopefully come with Pochettino, the coaching? Yes. Harry Kane wasn't made just in a day. So I'd like a striker like that in that mold. I'm not too keen on Lautaro either, so I can't trust him in the big games. I don't think you can trust him in the big occasions. He's one of those players again where whenever Inter have got to these finals or see in Argentina, he just folds. He just folds.
That's the problem.
He keeps racking up these 20 goals a year, which is great, but he just keeps folding. And I look at him and I don't really look at him and think to myself, that's the perfect partner for Nkunku. I feel like they're both the second striker to the striker.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So I would like someone of a different profile to him. I don't really want to go for any of these expensive dons, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. All these guys, these obvious names, these Lautaros, Osimhen's, Vlavic's, all these guys that are like just mad expensive and just bait. Don't really want to go for them. Not gonna lie. PTSD's kicking on that one.
I hear you. Yeah, I fully hear you on that one. But I really do think that Chelsea will make a move for Osimhen. I really do think they will. Whether we'll get him is a different story, but it seems to be a player that, because this club have liked him since before he went to Naples. He was at Lille before, and we was even linked with him back then. So once again, this is not just a knee-jerk reaction to the goals that he scored this season. This is actually a target that Chelsea have been looking at for a while. Napoli are saying 130 million euros, and you already know ADO, when he says a price, he means that price. Very difficult to negotiate with. So I'm not holding my breath for that one. Would like him at Chelsea, not going to lie, but for that price tag, I'm very, very, it's not my money to spend, but I am a little worried with what comes with that. Can he handle the pressure that comes with that, and what comes with the Premier League and that Chelsea? If he does, great. Do you know what I mean? Then we've got a serious striker on our hands. It's just, are you willing to take that gamble? Dusan Vlahovic, when he was at Fiorentina, I was a huge fan of the player. I dropped off in terms of following him too much at Juventus. I don't know how his season has been. So I don't really have much of an informed opinion on Dusan Vlahovic.
It's not been great from what I hear. I think I spoke to a Juventus fan yesterday. It's been a bit of a messy one for him this season.
Oh, it's not a good look. So that's not a good look then.
And they are looking to sell him because obviously they're trying to bring money in. But
yeah. So I don't know about him.
But he's got potential. He's one that's got potential. Like, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying that I don't think Vlahovic can be a great striker. It's not that I don't think Osimhen is a great striker. It's just the price point. For me, it's the price point. I don't think in this position right now we need 100 million, 80 million striker. I don't think that should be the goal, is to go and pay that kind of money. For me personally, I think a little bit of scouting, a little bit of homework needs to be done. And we need to really try and be smart with this position, because we keep getting it wrong time and time again.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm less focused on the price and the hype, more interested on the attributes and their overall game. If they've got a good all-round game, I'm way more interested in the player than if they're just banging in goals.
100%.
Anyone can bang in goals under any different circumstances. That may not translate to us. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
Just because you're banging in goals for next team doesn't mean you're going to come to us and bang goals, because what we do and how we play is very different to how other teams are playing. Our league very different to other leagues, so it's a very, very fine line to get this one right. It's not just he got goals, so we get him. He come here get goals. I wish it was that simple, but it's not, clearly, as we've seen over the years. So, yeah.
Ben Highsmith says, big up Goonie, big up yourself, Ben, man. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm just going to look through some of these comments. Someone saying Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal is he's a good player. I've seen Gonzalo Ramos being floating around, but Ramos is also going to cost a lot of money. Benfica want, I believe, nearly 100 million for him. And we've already seen how Rui Costa was moving with Enzo. So I'm not really trying to waste too much time on that if we're trying to negotiate down a price with Benfica, because that can end up taking quite a lot of precious transfer time. So I don't know about that. Kolo Muani will be good for 65 million max. Again, they're asking for 100 M's for him. So yeah, it's the strikers market, innit? They don't really come at these sensible prices. A lot of these with some serious talent. And I even saw someone throw in Evan Ferguson. I think he's a really, really good young striker, and he's got bags of potential, elite level potential. But my concern is this, Matisse, is we need experience in this team as well. We can't just keep signing youngsters. I feel that we do need experience here and there, and we need to strike a balance in certain positions. Do you know what I mean? We can't have just youth across the whole board. That would be really my last question for you before we wrap up.
Yeah. Uh, with the striker position, I think Datro Fofana is going to end up being a profit player,
100%.
and I think Broja is coming back from the ACL, which is not ideal. So, as I would like to see bits of experience here and there. 100%. We've got Silva. I think Sterling's got a massive part to play this season. He really needs to stand up and be counted for.
Yep.
We've got little bits and patches of experience here and there, but unfortunately, the experience that we've had over the years, they're all leaving. And I'm not even that angry about it, because I do think sometimes the experience is overrated. Like, I have looked at many situations where I've called for experience and leadership in this team, and it hasn't come this season.
Yeah,
Plenty
facts.
of times I've looked at this team and thought, where's my experience and leadership? Where's the players that are going to be counted on? And it hasn't come. So maybe the team at this point, needs to find its own leaders. We've got under 20 captain Cassidy. We've got under 20 Brazilian captain. I think Selena captains the US team, I believe. So we've got young captains, which is good. It's a good start. And we go from there.
No, facts. Well, listen, people, that brings us to the end of the stream. Once again, smash that like button for this video, man. Get us back up on the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new to the platform. I will be posting up a video this Sunday. Amazon have been messing up with Darko's mic, people. He told me to apologize to you. We were supposed to have an episode out on Wednesday. He ordered his microphone on Monday, Matisse, imagine. And all till now. Yeah, but I'm optimistic that he should get it today. But if he does get it today, another barbecue will be commencing on Sunday, definitely for you guys to watch some updates on some transfer news according to Darko, maybe one or two guests. Matisse, we got to get you on one of these shows one of these days, man, at some point in the transfer window. But it's like I said, we're not just going to be solely talking about Chelsea in these barbecues. We'll talk about other clubs as well, your Arsenals, your Liverpools, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But people, once again, big up yourselves. Yeah, smash the like, subscribe, and as always, Gareth Southgate out. Peace out, man. Laters.